5 innovative strategies to minimize loss and damage from climate change. For example, the 2022 floods in Pakistan cost the economy $30 billion, and in 2018 Cyclone Gita caused damages equivalent to 38% of Tonga's gross domestic product. For example, in Fiji, coastal erosion is causing villages to relocate to higher ground. The science is clear that without deep cuts in emissions and improved adaptation processes, these impacts will amplify. And it is the most vulnerable, such as rural farmers, fishers and informal workers in cities, that will be most impacted. This includes both economic and non-economic losses, the latter including the loss of lives, lands, sacred places, community cohesion, and cultural traditions. While some of the limits to adaptation are hard and can only be avoided by more ambitious climate mitigation, many of the limits are soft and can be pushed with more ambitious climate adaptation. First, adopt people-centered approach in understanding climate risk. This approach can empower vulnerable communities, foster collective action, and build a sense of care and responsibility in adaptation efforts. Adaptation entails adjusting long-standing development processes and institutions that may be no longer fit for purpose in a changing climate. Developing adaptation pathways also provides an opportunity to work with developing countries so that they own the processes for building long-term resilience, including through strategic plans that transcend individual investments, improved governance, and political and financial commitment. Compared to climate change, human uses of the environment are often more responsible for stresses in vulnerable ecosystems. In coastal areas, poorly sited and designed structures can have a bigger impact on erosion than sea level rise. In these cases, the limits to adaptation are soft, in the sense that loss and damage can be averted with improved practices in natural resources management so that ecosystems are more resilient to climate stressors. In addition, investments in infrastructure that work with biological and ecological processes to reduce vulnerability to climate risks such as coastal erosion and urban heating can also deliver efficient and more sustainable adaptation outcomes. Thus, investments in such ecosystem and nature-based adaptation can help minimize loss and damage to people who depend on climate-sensitive ecosystems for their welfare. For example, the effects of climate change on hunger is due to many co-drivers that increase vulnerability, including marginalization of women from decision-making in households, and secondary malnutrition due to lack of access to quality water supply. Recognition of the multiple drivers of vulnerability, however, also means there are multiple options to push the limits of adaptation. Such strategies enhance the choices people have to adapt to climate change in ways that minimize what they would consider to be intolerable losses and damages. A key limit to adaptation in any given place is simply a lack of knowledge about what can be done effectively to reduce climate risk, which is continuously changing. Regularly reviewing and assessing previous adaptation efforts can help us learn what works best and understand how to do it effectively. So too does establishing institutional systems that adopt participatory processes for monitoring changes in people's immediate environments and daily lives. This blog is based on a background report developed by Professor John Barnett with inputs from Arghya Sinha Roy for the Asian Development Bank.